Good morning students. I welcome back you all to this class of mathematics, and we are discussing here class 12 CBSE syllabus of mathematics, and we are going to do multiplication theorem of probability today, and we are discussing here chapter 13 probability. Now students, consider two events E and F which are associated with the sample space S, and E intersection F means the simultaneous occurrence of E and F. Now we know that conditional probability of E, knowing that F has already occurred, is given by the formula probability of E intersection F upon probability of F. This we have already discussed in my first video of conditional probability. So now cross multiplying these two terms, what do we get? That probability of E intersection F is equal to probability of F into probability of E intersection F. Here you can see I have multiplied these two terms, cross multiplied these two terms, and we got this expression. Now students, if we want to write the same manner as we have written the conditional probability of E, knowing that F has already occurred, if now I want to write the conditional probability of F, knowing that E has already occurred. So it is given by this expression, probability of F upon E, which is equal to probability of E intersection F divided by probability of E. And here in both the cases, the denominator should not be 0. In above case, probability of F should not be 0, and in this case, probability of E should not be 0. So here again we cross multiply these two expressions, PE and PF by E. So we get an expression for PE intersection F. So probability of E intersection F comes out to be probability of E into probability of F by E. And we have got a similar expression above from the conditional probability of E, knowing that F has already occurred. Now in above expression, here also I got the value of PE intersection F, and in this expression also I got the value of PE intersection F. Now since both of them are the expressions for PE intersection F, they must be equal. So that gives me that PE into PF by E should be equal to PF into PE by F. Now both of them are equal to probability of E intersection F. So this is a very important expression. PE intersection F means two events E and F, they occur simultaneously, one after the other. In what manner? So first we are writing PE intersection F is equal to probability of E. That means event E occurred. Then we are writing F by E. That means then F occurred, knowing that E has already occurred. Similarly, we have written here PF into E by F. That means first F occurred, so anyone can occur first, and then probability of E, but this is the conditional probability that F has already occurred. So whichever event occurs first becomes the condition for the occurrence of second event. Let us analyze this situation. So we have written the statement of multiplication theorem of probability. PE intersection F is equal to probability of E into probability of F by E. Two events are occurring simultaneously, but first any one event occurred, let first E occurred. So we have written here probability of occurrence of E. Then F occurred, but with the condition that E has already occurred, and therefore we have written it P F by E and not simply P F. Similarly, if I want to write the expression for PE intersection F in terms of F, that is when F occurred first. So since F occurred first, so its probability will not be affected by anything. So we simply write probability of F. But now since F has already occurred, so probability of occurrence of E is affected by the occurrence of F, and therefore we simply don't write PE, but we write P of E intersection F. This theorem is used when two events occur simultaneously, one after the other, without replacement. So first event, whichever of E and F is occurring first, will be occurring without any condition, and next whichever event will be occurring, it will be occurring with the condition that the previous one has already occurred. This is called the multiplication theorem of probability. Now let us take one example based on this theorem. An urn contains 10 black and 5 white balls. So let us suppose this is the urn and it has got 10 black balls and it has also got 5 white balls. Now two balls are drawn from the urn one after the other without replacement. This is the thing to be paid attention, that we are taking out two balls but we are not replacing the first ball that we take out, and we uh, keep that aside and then we take out the second ball. So the experiment is, we take out the first ball and we don't keep it back in the urn but we keep it aside, and then we take out the second ball. In that case, what is the probability that both the balls that we take out are going to be white? Now listen, let us assume that the probability of getting first white ball is E, and that event of getting first black ball is E, and the event of getting second black ball is F. So we want to know the probability of E intersection F by the total theorem of total probability, multiplication theorem of, not the theorem of total probability, but the multiplication theorem of probability. The probability of E intersection F will be probability of E into probability of F, but with the condition that E has already occurred. So that means I have to first write the probability of taking out first black balls. 10 black balls are there, total 15 balls are there. So the probability of first black ball will be 10 by 15. But then I have to multiply it by the probability of second black ball. Now once you take out one black ball and you don't replace it, you are left with only 9 black balls, and the total balls which were 15 earlier also now become 14. So this is the required probability. You can of course simplify it. Now what happens, students, when you have got more than two events? So if you have to apply the multiplication theorem of probability for more than two events, then what do you do? Suppose we have three events E, F and G, and they are associated with a sample space S. If I want to know probability of E intersection F intersection G, that is the probability of simultaneous occurrence of E at F and G. So that will be, first E occurred, so we take the probability of E. Then F occurred with the condition that E has already occurred. So we multiply it by probability of F by E. Then G occurred with the condition that E and F had already occurred. So we multiply it by probability of G, knowing that E and F have already occurred. That is denoted by P of G slash E intersection F. So PE denotes probability of E. PF by E denotes probability of F, knowing that E has already occurred. And PG by EF means that probability of G, knowing that E and F have already occurred. Similarly, this multiplication theorem of probability, it can be extended for 4 or more than 4 events also. Now consider an example that 3 cards are drawn successively without replacement from a pack of 52 well shuffled cards. What is the probability that first 2 cards are kings and the third card is an ace? So here we have first 2 cards are kings, means first card is a king, second card is also a king, and the third card is an ace. Now as you know that in a well shuffled deck of 52 cards of playing cards, there are 4 kings, 4 queens, 4 aces and 4 jacks. And we are taking out 3 cards successively. No replacement is there. Without replacement means the card that we are taking out and seeing it, and we are not keeping it back. We are just keeping it aside and we are not keeping it back in the deck of 52 cards. So now right in the beginning, this is the situation. This is the initial situation, this one of the first uh, rectangles. This shows the initial situation which has got 4 kings and 52 cards. And you want to know the probability of first king and second king and third ace. So let us assume that probability of getting first king is E, second king is F, and third ace is G. So now we are going to apply here the multiplication theorem of probability. This should be equal to probability of first king with no condition, probability of second king with the condition that first card has already been taken out and which was a king, into probability of third card which is taken out to be an ace, knowing that the first two cards E and F which were kings have already been taken out. So now when you when you take out the first card which was a king, this is going to be the structure of the playing card. This one, the first rectangle, that is it has got 52 cards and it has got 4 kings. So one king out of 52 cards can be taken out in these many ways, and like in 4 ways. Since there are 4 kings, if you want to take out one king, it can be done in 4 ways, and total number of ways of taking out one card is 52. So probability of getting first king card is 4 by 52. Now after taking out this card, since you are not keeping it back, the total cards now become 51. And the kings have also now become 3 kings. So now second king card will be having the probability of 3 by 51. So this is 3 by 51 is probability of F by E. 4 by 52 is probability of E. Then we have to find out the probability of third card to be an ace. Now after you take out the second card, the total cards remain only 50 since you are not keeping it back. And how many aces will be there? Total 4 aces will be there since the first two cards that you have taken out were kings and not any single aces. So the probability of the third ace card will be 4 by 50, because 4 is the number of ways in which you can pick up one ace card out of 4 cards, and 50 is the total number of ways in which you can pick up any one card out of these 50 given cards. So this is going to be the total probability. Now students, in this example, you have seen that when we take out the second king card, this one, F, then its probability, the probability of F was affected by the happening of E. Because you know that if you would not have taken out the first king card, then or if you would have kept the first king card back in the well shuffled deck of 52 cards, then the probability of getting this second king card would not have been 3 by 51, but it would also have been 4 by 52. As you can see here, that probability of happening of E is 4 by 52, that is first king card, and you did not put that first king card back. In that case, the probability of happening of F is 3 by 51. That means the occurrence of F has been affected by the occurrence of E. But consider the situation not, if you have kept the first king card back into the deck, then this deck, the second one, would not have got 51 card. Rather, in second case, it would have got 52 cards only and it would have got 4 kings only. And in that case, the probability of occurrence of F would have been 4 by 52 and not 3 by 51. So that would have been the case where occurrence of F has not been affected by the occurrence of E. In that case, we could have said that E and F were independent, could have been independent events. But here in this case, in this example, these events are not independent because they are affecting each other. So what do we mean by independent events now? Two events E and F, and they are associated with any sample space S of a random experiment. They are called independent if happening of one does not affect the happening of the other, or occurrence of one of the event is not affected by the occurrence of the other event. Such events are called independent events. So when do you think that the events are going to be independent? Suppose you have got two events E and F. Say let us concentrate on F. We say if probability of F by E, that means probability of happening of F after E is same as the probability of happening of F without happening of E. That means F is happening after E happens in that case, or F is happening individually. Both the probabilities are coming out to be same. If this happens, then we say that events F and E are independent. Or we can say that if probability of E by F is same as probability of E. P of E by F, that means probability of occurrence of E after F. If it is same as PE, that means probability of independently occurrence of F, E without occurrence of F. If it happens, then we also say that events E and F are independent. So F occurs after E or individually, it has got same probability. E occurs after F or individually, it has got same probability. If it happens, then we say events E and F are independent. Now, right now we have done multiplication theorem of probability, and according to that, probability of E intersection F is equal to probability of E into probability of F by E. But since we are saying that events E and F are independent, in that case probability of F by E can be written as probability of F. They are same. So we replace F by E by F and probability of E is there. So probability of E intersection F is equal to probability of E into probability of F. This is the condition for two events E and F to be independent. So here we have the formal definition of two independent events. Let E and F are two events associated with the same random experiment. Then E and F are said to be independent if E intersection F, probability of E intersection F, is same as probability of E into probability of F. And this definition can be extended to more than two events also. So suppose we have three events A, B and C. They are called mutually independent if probability of A intersection B intersection C is same as probability of A into probability of B into probability of C. Now let us read question number 3 of exercise 13.2. A box of oranges is inspected by examining three randomly selected oranges drawn without replacement. So the random experiment is that from this box of oranges, which has got 12 good and 3 bad oranges, you are taking out uh, 3 oranges at random and you are examining them. If all the 3 oranges are good, then the box is approved for sale. Otherwise, it is rejected. So any three randomly chosen oranges should be good for the box to be approved for sale. And it is containing 12 good and 3 bad oranges. What is the probability that the box will be approved for sale? Now students, the probability that box is approved for sale will be that the will be same as the probability that all the 3 oranges that you take out are going to be good. So that means this is equal to the probability of first good orange and second good orange and third good orange. All of them should be good. So let us see what is going to be the probability of first good orange. Since there are total 15 oranges, out of 12 are good. So probability of first good orange will be 12 by 15. Now since you have taken out one orange and you are not replacing it as it is given in the question without replacement. So now the oranges which were 12 initially good ones. Now the good ones become 11, but total which were 15, they also become 14. Similarly, one more good one is being taken out and it is also kept outside. Now out of 12 good ones, 2 have already been taken out. Only 10 good ones are left, and total oranges which were 15 initially, 2 have been taken out. So they have also become 13. So this is the required probability of a box to be approved for sale. Now students, this thing can be done in a different manner also. See, you can use the concept of combinations also. Since out of 12 good oranges, you have to select any 3. So you can write it down in this manner, 12C3. And out of total 15 oranges also, you have to select any 3. So you can also write it as 15C3. And if you calculate it, you will find that this result is going to be same as this result. So you can use any method to solve this question. Now students, consider question number 5 of exercise 13.2. The question says that a die is marked 1, 2, 3 in red and 4, 5, 6 in green. And this kind of die is tossed. That means its 3 faces are red, on which 1, 2, 3 numbers are written, and its 3 faces are green, on which numbers 4, 5 and 6 are written. This die is tossed. Now you know when this die will be tossed, any one of the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 can come. So this is the sample space which is containing red 1, red 2, red 3 or green 4, green 5, green 6. Any one outcome out of these 6 can be the possible outcome. And let A is the event that the number is even. So event A will contain all even numbers. So number 2 in red color, 4 and 6 in green color. This is event A. And the event B is that the number is red. So in event B, we have written all the 3 event outcomes which are favorable to the happening of B, that is all the red faces which are containing numbers 1, 2 and 3. Now we write A intersection B also, because in the question it is asked, are the events A and B independent? So to check A and B are independent or not, we have to check that the probability of, if the probability of A intersection B is same as the probability of A multiplied by the probability of B, if this comes out to be same, then we say that the events A and B are independent. So we have written A intersection B also. A intersection B means that these two sets A and B, we write the common elements and there is only one common element which is R2. Now we find out probability of A intersection B. So since the A intersection B is a set containing only one element out of total 6 elements of the sample space, then we write probability of A. So probability of A means number of elements in A, which are 3 upon 6, which comes out to be 1 by 2. Then we write probability of B. B contains 3 elements upon total 6, which is also 1 by 2. So what we see here is that probability of A intersection B is 1 by 6, but probability of A into probability of B will come out to be 1 by 4. So we can see that probability of A intersection B is already written 1 by 6, but probability of A into probability of B is coming out to be 1 by 2 into 1 by 2, which is 1 by 4. So these two numbers are not equal, and this implies that probability of A intersection B is not equal to probability of A into probability of B, and this implies events A and B are not independent.